These were 5 objections that I had when I was considering a startup. I'm going to share how my experience of just starting has allowed me to overcome those objections. The concept of this video actually came from an essay written by Paul Graham, who's the founder of Y. And I'll be taking the top 5 that I really resonated with because I had a lot of objections. Starting with number 1, feeling too inexperienced or too young. When I first started, I wasn't sure what I was doing. Especially being compared to my peers, I felt like I was pretty inadequate, and I had no idea what to do in business because I did not come from a business background. I had a technical degree. But at the time, I knew I needed some type of experience. And because I wasn't getting hired at the time, I was like, let's just make my own experience. And through that opportunity of starting and trying to build the business from the ground up, I gained so many valuable skills like sales, marketing, learning how to design an application, to build a full stack application from the ground up. And these skills are interdisciplinary. I know even if this startup fails, the skills that I've learned now can be easily applied to the next job I go into or another venture. Number 2, there's no more room for startups. When I was out and doing some competitor research, I realized there were a lot of resume builders out there. And a lot of people were saying, there's a lot of competition. Are you sure you want to start now? The market has big players. And I was like, that's very true. And I was honestly a little fearful from starting because at that point I knew that it would be a very big uphill battle. But the idea of saying there's a cap for the amount of startups is like saying there's a cap for the amount of jobs available. We always go into university and school assuming that, hey, like there will be enough jobs. Yes, there are hiring freezes, there are layoffs, all that stuff. But no one says, hey, there's a cap on jobs. Like you should stop applying for these types of roles because there's a max limit, right? The same can be applied for a startup because there's so many ways to differentiate your offering, your target audience, how you bundle your product together in marketing. No matter how small, there's a target audience that is different from your competitors. You basically get to expand the pie. There's actually always room to kind of be creative in how you optimize and grow your value proposition. As an entrepreneur, your goal is to find value and create it and then capture it, which is what you can do when it looks like there's no room. Number 3, not ready for commitment. I remember when I first started out, I wasn't sure how long this was going to last. Hopefully I get this done in a few months, then I can get back on with my life, focus on going back to school for seminary or even applying for another corporate job. And little did I know that taking this entrepreneur path would be a lot longer than I anticipated. But if I was ready to commit 3 to 4 years at a job in corporate or 3 to 4 years in a graduate degree, then that would be the equivalent to the same amount of time I would be committing to the startup. Number 4, your parents want you to be a doctor. Now, when I was first reading this on Paul Graham's essay, I was like, how does this have anything to do with entrepreneurship? But it also hit home at the same time because my parents wanted me to be a doctor as well. And so the idea of this point is that you have the opportunity to live your own dream, or someone else will live their dream through you. And not to say that my parents had ill intentions, because seeing how education has played a big part in how they've been able to succeed today makes it understandable why they're asking me to go certain directions. When you go down a clear beaten path, you do minimize risk, but at the same time, you will minimize reward as well. In this day and age where we have so many tools, we have the opportunity to pursue things that we are passionate about and we feel more purpose-driven with. As much as I would love to pursue my parents' dreams, no one is going to pursue my own. And so whether you want to be a doctor or you want to be an entrepreneur, it's up to you to make that happen. And I realized, hey, there's no time like the present now to just try, right? Because people will always put their own desires and their own agendas ahead of yours. When are you going to prioritize your desires? All right, and number 5, the fear of uncertainty. In this society, it's very easy to just default to a job. That's just the way we understand how things work. You go to university, you get a degree, get a job, you're done. Seems pretty stable, pretty comfortable. That's the life that is planned for you. But how did that begin, right? Before there was cities and working jobs, there was the lifestyle of living on a farm. On that farm, you would harvest your own food, You would have your own community, your family to be a part of, and that was the norm back then. And then when the idea of cities came around and people moving away from the farms, it was definitely out of the norm. Like, how are you gonna get your food? Where are you gonna get your community? These are all things that needed to be addressed that were not certain during those times. Just as that became the norm though, moving to cities, we are going through a time period right now where the norm is shifting. As we can see with remote work, younger generations wanting to work on things that are more meaningful and that drive more purpose. And one day we might look back at this time and say like, wow, I can't believe there was employee-employer relationships where there was this power imbalance and things were not equal, right? It's almost like a master-slave dynamic. Nowadays, things are equal, and where people share their skills and they're able to be compensated fairly, and they get to work on things that they're passionate about. So there is a lot of fear and uncertainty with change. With that comes a lot of opportunity for growth and potential fortunes as well. And for me, I want to be part of this revolution and learn how I can best, grow, not just in career, but character develop as well, to become well equipped for this next generation and this new coming of change. So these were my 5 objections that I originally had, whether it was that I was too dumb, there were too many startups, I wasn't ready to commit, I was ready to live out my own dream, or the fear of uncertainty. These are all things that ultimately have shaped me to who I am today. And I'm very grateful that I am on this journey because I'm learning how to live a life that is not out of fear, but out of freedom and what aligns with my beliefs. If you'd like to land more jobs with your resume, feel free to click the link in the description below and feel free to watch this next video. Thanks for watching.